Hello, everyone. Welcome to Durrett's Take. Let's get started. Um, I want to go over the All Star draft, and I've made some predictions, and this is based off what I think LeBron and KD will or should do, in my opinion. So let's get started. So I think Team LeBron, I think he would have the first pick. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think he does. Um, so if that's the case, with his first pick, it's interesting here because if AD was here, he would pick AD, but unfortunately, A is not started this year like he was last year, and then B is injured, so he's not there. So it makes it interesting to see what he would want and take. My guess is he's probably going to take the another MVP level candidate and a shooter at that. So I think he'll go Steph Curry as his first pick. So that way Steph and KD are not teamed up once again, because he knows that that's a dominant duo right there. So then when he takes Steph, that means KD will go ahead and pick his buddy Kyrie, because that'd be awkward if he didn't. And then LeBron feel that he would want to go with more extremes. I think he goes with Bradley Beal next. People close to LeBron say he loves Bradley Beal, so it makes sense to pick someone you're close to, or pick someone you like or respect, type of thing. So um, I mean, of course he could pick Luka for shooting as well, but I feel like he's going to go Bradley Beal here just because he's more comfortable and familiar with Beal. Then it's KD's turn, and I feel the person he'll draft next is Joel Embiid. Besides LeBron, he is the other big favorite to win the MVP, so it makes sense to go with the next best player here. And then since KD picks Embiid, it means LeBron will now pick Nikola Jokic to be his center and be on his squad to kind of combat that. Since Joker's playing at MVP level as well. Then KD would want someone to stop LeBron on defense. I know defense in All-Star game does not matter, and it's very optional, but I mean, if it comes down right to the wire, then all of a sudden it becomes important, so you kind of need a defender just in case. But I feel like KD would pick Kawhi Leonard here. Also, it makes sense for them to be on separate teams versus together like they were last year, because they have a LA rivalry going on. But so then LeBron gets his own defender and gets Giannis, and then KD would give them both Luka Doncic and then Jason Tatum to replace him, since KD's going to be out of the All Star tournament. Tatum's replace him, so then he gets the last two picks there. So then you got the bench now. Now I think KD gets to pick the reserves first, since LeBron picked the stars. Again, I could be wrong here, but that's what my guess is. And that's the case, I feel like for his first bench pick, he would go with James Harden, because again, that'd be awkward if he didn't. It's his teammate. I feel like LeBron would then easily pick Damian Lillard, and then after that, this is where things get interesting. Since LeBron loves Ben Simmons, KD could pick him, especially since Doc Rivers is coaching the team. And just to screw LeBron, because I mean, LeBron had to trade Ben Simmons, Russell Westbrook last year, just so that's how much he likes playing with Ben Simmons apparently. But I don't think he would do that quite yet, though. I feel like he would get Paul George as another shooter and defender on the squad. Then I feel like LeBron would then choose nobody. I feel like he would go with CP3. KD would then take, I feel like Ben Simmons at this point, since LeBron chose CP3 over him, and grab him right now before he can get multiple guards. Then LeBron, I feel, will go with an interesting move here. They go with the person he feels like was disrespected and take Devin Booker next. Just because when people get disrespected, LeBron likes to help them out, type of thing. So then I feel like KD would go shooting guard next. I feel like he would go Jaylen Brown. Could be wrong, but since Brown's close to being a star, I feel like this would be one of the best players on the board left. So I feel like he would go to Jaylen Brown. LeBron then I think would choose Zion Williamson next to make sure he grabs, he can basically throw up some cool no look lobs to him. I feel that's going to be a nice highlight to see at the All Star game. Now I feel like KD would draft Julius Randle as a fellow New York star to combat with Zion in that potential matchup. Then LeBron, I feel, would go with another guard. So at this point, the guard is left. It's in between Zach LaVine and Donovan Mitchell. Mitchell would make sense here because Quinn Snyder's coaching the team, but again, LeBron's picking his team, so LeBron just may go like, okay, I like Zach LaVine better, so I'm just going to go with him. I feel like that's the move he makes. So now back to KD. There's 4 people left. I feel KD would want to grab his best choice of big man for his to start off his bench since he hasn't done it yet. Besides Julius Randle, I feel like he would go with Nikola Vucevic next, who's the best shooter of the remaining three big men. LeBron would then have to go with the big man here. I feel like he'll take Rudy Gobert since he's the best defender of all the big men. And again, he could be coached by Quinn Snyder. And then also you could throw lobs to him all day, like Zion Williamson. So then KD, with the final pick. Okay, now it's coming down to Domantas Sabonis, who's replaced. I forgot who he replaced. He replaced someone. So now he's on the All-Star game, and then oh yeah, he replaced KD, but then Jason Tatum got elevated start. Yeah, so you replaced KD, and then you get Donovan Mitchell up. And what's interesting is that I believe in last year's All-Star draft, Donovan Mitchell was, to my surprise, the last pick that year. So this time it'll be interesting to see, okay, is he the last pick again, despite improving off last year? But I feel like he will not be the last pick this time. I feel like KD will add more shooting with Mitchell and make things a little bit trickier for Quinn Snyder. So then that means Sabonis will go to LeBron, which is good because unlike Gobert, he can shoot the deep ball. So again, I could be wrong in the order here, and this could all be wrong, but this is, again, I feel like this is what should and could happen based off drafts in the past, especially with LeBron, since he's been picking a couple times before, so you can kind of get to know more of what his choices are going to be than KD, which is a first-time captain. So there you go. So to recap, so for Team LeBron, you got LeBron James, Steph Curry, Bradley Beal, Nikola Jokic, and Giannis. And then for your bench, you got Damian Lillard, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Zion Williamson, Zach LaVine, Rudy Gobert, and Domantas Sabonis. And then for Team KD, you got Kyrie Irving, Joel Embiid, Kawhi Leonard, Luka Doncic, and Jason Tatum. And then you got James Harden, Paul George, Ben Simmons, Jaylen Brown, Julius Randle, Nikola Vucevic, and Donovan Mitchell. Which I feel like it's a very good match. I feel like this is kind of an even lineup. Like I wouldn't necessarily declare an automatic winner here. Like, so I feel like the past couple times I felt like LeBron's definitely drafted a better team than Giannis. So I had more of a favorite there. But this time I feel like this would be such a good job by both players. I'm not sure what I'd pick. If I had to pick, I would probably lean towards Team KD right here. Team KD, but again, it's just such a hard form. But you guys should leave in the comment section who you think would be favored. So now we're starting to approach the final. So it's the final week of the regular season for some conferences in college basketball, and then for other conferences in college basketball, their conference tournaments are starting this week. And if for a few, it's actually already started pretty early. But so what I want to do now is I want to go over my one big question for not for each conference, but each of kind of like the major conferences going into conference tournament weekend. So let's start off with the ACC. So my big question here is, how far will Duke go? Because right now Duke is barely outside of my projected tournament bracket, and a lot of people, including Lunardi and stuff like that. Like they're barely out or barely in, according to who you ask. Might be barely out, but I feel like if they can get a key win here, so I'm not sure how far they would have to go through the ACC tournament. I don't think they have to get the conference championship game by any means. But I would feel they probably have to make it maybe to at least the Final Four of the ACC in order to safely get in, and then win at least one against another Louisville or North Carolina or something like one of those type of games again in order to try to get in. Because if they beat the teams they're supposed to be, obviously, but then they don't get any upsets after that, I feel like they're going to be out. And obviously, if they get upset in the first round, then they're out. So it'll be interesting to see what happens at Duke there. Next, you got the Big 12. So my question here is Kansas actually going to win it? Because, Baylor's been undefeated throughout this whole time, and now all of a sudden, bam, Kansas gives them their first loss yesterday, or 2 days ago. So what makes it interesting now is, okay, is that since Kansas have had all this momentum for the past few weeks, and now they just knock off the number 2 team, like, are they gonna continue to roll with it and then beat Baylor after Baylor's been the projected favorite this whole time, or will Baylor kind of regroup and rebound and assert their dominance and still claim themselves as the Big 12 team to beat? That'll be kind of interesting to see there. So interesting, no bubble teams in the Big Ten, which is interesting, because usually with the major conferences you'll get at least one bubble team here or there, but Big 12, nope. You know who's going to be in, you know who's not going to be in. Next you get the Big East. There's actually many bubble teams here. So my question is, according to my stats, I have 4 Big East teams in the bubble, and 3 of them are on the right side of the bracket. So my question for the Big East is, will 2 of those 3 even get into the tournament? Not. I feel like one of those would definitely will. But the question is, will at least 2 of the 4 get inside the tournament, or does the NCAA committee not favor the Big East this year as it has in the past? Next is the Big Ten. My question in here is, what's going on, Ohio State? I mean, Ohio State and Michigan State looked like this, like they looked tight, and then all of a sudden Ohio State's lost 2 in a row. One of them being a blowout to Iowa, so now it looks like Michigan's the clear winner. So I want to see if this is a sign for things coming. Ohio State's going to slip up and fall and kind of underachieve in the Big Ten tournament, or they're going to make it at the very least back to the Big Ten title game against Michigan and show that, hey, we're for real. We're not going on a downward slope at the wrong time. Next, I'm going to go with the Pac-12. So my question here is, who's actually going to win it? Because you got UCLA, you got USC, you got Colorado. They all could win it. And then Oregon, who's a bubble team, but definitely on the right side, could potentially make a run. Then Stanford will be interesting. Stanford's right now on the outside of the bubble against. They have to make a nice run. I would say they need to get at least the Pac-12 championship in order to be safely in. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Next, you got the Mountain West. So we know San Diego State's in, but you got Boise State, Utah State, Colorado State. So I wonder what the question is. Again, it's kind of like the Big East. So I feel like 2 of these teams can get in, but this end up being just 1, because again, this committee not like the smaller conferences this year, especially since there wasn't as many non-conference games, so therefore not many opportunities to press. So it'll be interesting to see what the committee is kind of thinking here. Then the WCC. Will Gonzaga be beaten? The only logistic chance of them being beaten, in my opinion, is by BYU, who has the 2nd seed, and they could meet up. But even then, it'd be very interesting. We said Gonzaga should win the tournament before, and not last year, but the year before that. I remember St. Mary's was barely outside of the tournament. They beat Gonzaga in the conference title game to get themselves in. So you just never know with these things. And then you get the Atlantic 10. My question here is, there's like 3 teams right now in the bubble, 4 teams right now technically that all be on the bubble. It's like, again, it's kind of like with the other conferences. Is the committee going to favor them, or they're going to be the short stick? Especially since I prefer the Mountain. Out of all the smaller conferences, I would prefer the Mountain West and WCC over A10. So it'll be kind of interesting to see what happens there. So there you go. So that's it for today. Please subscribe to my channel. Tell everyone about me. Thank you very much, and you'll have a wonderful day.